This video covers the study done on acacia galls and their effect on tree defense. Acacia galls are growths that form on wattle trees that have been parasitized by the Trachlogaster wasp. To put into more familiar terms, they're a bit like mosquito bites. Being bitten by a mosquito brings a whole range of problems. The swellings are itchy and unsightly and annoying. Bites can get infected with disease, and scratching too much can cause injury. But once bitten, twice shy. Humans and mosquitoes have been in conflict for a long time, and we've gotten smart about it. We developed insect repellent, bug spray, protective equipment. New technologies to deal with these blood-sucking pests are researched even now. Unfortunately for acacias, they don't have the luxury of R&D labs and aerosol cans. They're parasites of wasps that use galls to protect and feed their larvae. Once stung, the tree is forced to grow swellings instead of putting that energy to use for its own benefit. This may have a negative effect on the tree's ability to defend itself against other threats, like infection and herbivory. A bit like having to spend money on mosquito cream instead of getting to buy a nice meal. The strain this places as a selective pressure on trees is an example of host-parasite coevolution. If the selection is strong, only trees that can resist the galls or afford the toll of them survive to pass on their genes. The next generation would have more individuals descended from these resistant survivors. Over time, the species becomes more resistant to the threat. Wasps in turn have to get better at making galls in order to breed. This race is the concept behind the Red Queen hypothesis, where runners have to keep running in order to maintain the same fitness as before in an ever-moving world. This study was done at Smith's Lake and aimed to find a relationship between acacia galls and tree health. Leaf damage was used to assess this. It should be noted that the leaves of the trees used in this study aren't really leaves. They're flattened stems called phyllodes that are used for photosynthesis. Like the leaves of other plants, they're still grazed by herbivores and turn brown when damaged. Only younger green galls were recorded. These galls contain growing wasp larvae, and they continue to exert a cost in terms of nutrients. If this has an immediate cost of defense, then the intensity of damage from herbivory and infection would be affected by these new galls. To investigate this, the number and average size of galls present on a branch was collected. This was used as a measure of the total cost of growing galls to the branch. 10 leaves were then taken from the same branch. The leaves were examined for signs of damage. Discoloration was taken as a sign of infection, and missing sections were used as a measure of herbivory. The average damage of 10 leaves was then converted to a percentage of leaf damage on each branch. 3 branches were sampled from each tree, with 15 trees sampled across the study area. A linear Gaussian mixed effects model was used to determine if there was a relationship between gall cost and leaf damage. No significant relationship was found, although results strongly imply that gall size is associated with decreased leaf health. While trends in the data suggest that the size of galls on the branch have a detrimental effect on leaf health, an increased number of galls was associated with less damage. This may be due to larger galls having existed longer. The cost of the branch health would therefore become more apparent as the branch was exposed to more infection and herbivore threats over time. More investigation is needed to determine whether galls have an immediate negative effect on their host tree's ability to defend from other threats. While Australia has many native acacias, perhaps the most famous being the golden wattle, they are an invasive species in South Africa and Portugal. Wasps have been introduced as a form of biological control to reduce their numbers. While this technique is proving effective, it can only be expected that the acacia trees are evolving better resistances to this threat. Research on this topic is important to know just how and when this plan will become ineffective.